Sacrifice used to be a word that people appreciated. It was important. It could define nations in times of trouble. But somewhere, somehow, over the last 40 years, people in this culture have come to dislike that word. The whole idea of sharing and sacrificing does not mesh at all with the way that we are told we have to live our lives. And the point of life, as we all know, is to gather in more and more stuff, more things, filling our apartments and our oversized houses and the interiors of our increasingly immense vehicles with a great abundance of blessings that we all know we deserve. We get this information from many places. We get it when we plop ourselves down after a long, soul-crushing day in our cubicles and get ourselves finally sucked into that blessed mindlessness, the TV. And there we see a world where people get what they want. Their perfect smile of happiness. It doesn't come from sacrifice. It comes from whatever consumer product they are pitching to us. Get what you want. Take what you want. And you will be happy. And maybe you can't afford that. Maybe you can't afford that consumer product. Well, you don't need to sacrifice to get it. Save up each month. That's too frustrating. It doesn't give me what I know I deserve right now. It's too time-consuming. It gets in the way of living my best life now. All you have to do, get yourself another credit card. Offers keep coming in the mail. Just max it out. Sacrifice now for something later. Sounds communist. And that ethic spreads. It's not just something that we personally do. Look, for example, at the wonderful way that Wall Street has worked these last 5, 7, 10, 20 years. The best way to make money on Wall Street is not, or has not been, to take some money and invest it. The best way is actually you take money, but you make sure that the money that you're investing isn't yours. It's the best way to make money quickly. Why take your own cash when you can just borrow cash from someone, invest that in some complex scheme, and then get lots of money back? And that has worked really, really well, hasn't it? It works great. And the great thing is, you never had to sacrifice. Not a little bit. You just bought it. Or let's go outside of the market and look at our country's leadership. We get a lot of hyphen talk about how good it is that young men and women are willing to give their lives, to sacrifice, make that ultimate sacrifice for our country. And what they're doing is great. We love them. We honor them for that small volunteer army of ours. We love and honor them so much that we, somewhere in the back of our heads, remind ourselves that next time we're at the mall, maybe we should pick up another one of those little yellow ribbon magnets at the back of our SUV. Because, you know, it's been, what, over half a decade worth of deployments, and the one we got the first time out is kind of faded in the sun and rain of years and years. We could do that. That's not that hard. But do those same leaders ask us to pony up a single penny, one thin dime, to pay for America's men and women in uniform, or to provide them with quality care when they come back, or to set up things that will let them go to college and be educated when they return? Well, no, because that would be sacrifice on our part. And, you know, it's fine for them, but for us, no. Not for us, because we don't like that. We have shucking to do. We're too busy to sacrifice. Better yet, let's not talk people, let's not talk markets, let's not talk leadership, let's talk about church. Closer to home, closer to here. Pastors all around the country give us a very good reason that we should come to church. We come because if we do, Jesus will shower us with blessings and material abundance. We come because it's a great place to make business contacts. We come because it's a great place to send our kids so they can stay out of trouble, at least for a couple hours on Sunday morning. We come because we want to gather with a big group of people like us. And there we get to watch a big show that makes us feel good about ourselves, and that's exactly what we want. We come because we expect that church is going to have some benefit for us personally. And if we do give to that church, we give primarily because we are planting a seed that's going to meet our need. We expect Jesus to have a very good ROI, and that means return on investment for kids. And what we don't want to hear, not in our media, not from our leaders, not from our pastors, is anything about our having to make a sacrifice. I don't want anything that makes my life harder. I don't want to make a sacrifice. That's what Jesus is for, right? That's done. Well, we hear today Paul writing a letter to the church at Philippi. And as I read through this letter this week, I was more and more convinced that the Apostle Paul would have had a very difficult time in America. Because this is one of the last letters Paul writes. This is an important letter for him. He's writing it to a church he loves. Doesn't like those really annoying Corinthians. He has a strong relationship, a strong bond with this church. And he's writing to them, not from a position of strength. He's writing to them from prison. And folks who read the Bible and study the Bible aren't quite sure where it comes from. He might have been in prison in Ephesus. But most of them think that this was when he was jailed in Rome. His last imprisonment. The imprisonment that would ultimately end in his execution. So this wasn't necessarily what you would call a prosperous time for Paul. And outside, yeah, he's in prison, but outside everything's not well, because we hear elsewhere in Philippians that Paul is starting to come under attack from other Christians. Christians who resented him. And now that he was conveniently locked up, were sort of standing up to get a little get back on him. They resented him and they rejected many of his teachings. Whichever way, Paul was not having a pleasant time. And you couldn't say, as he was locked away, that he was being blessed with abundance, unless it's an abundance of trouble. Now, by our standards, by the standards we have set for ourselves in this society, you would think that Paul, for ourselves,